Hey guys, welcome back to Muscle Music. So usually on this series, I pick an album from the Rolling Stone magazine's top albums of all time list. I work out to it and then I give my thoughts on it. But recently I haven't been really listening to those older albums. I've kind of found my own albums, how I've stumbled across them. Some are recent, some are a little bit older, so I figured on this fitting, gloomy, rainy day, I would share my 5 albums that I've listened to recently at the gym. So the first 3 albums in this list all came out this year. I'll get into some older ones later, but the first album is Hell Mode by Jeff Rosenstock. This is a punk rock album that was released this year that has some pop elements to it that I really like, and this is one of my most heavily anticipated albums of 2023 just because I'm a huge Jeff Rosenstock fan. Now, I won't talk too much at length about this album because I will mention it a lot in my 2023 end of year list for my favorite albums because it is pretty high up there, but this is so cathartic for a long time listener like me. It still has that lovable, chaotic, all-out energy that he's shown on previous releases, but it has a bit more space in the mix. It's not all in your face. There is a bit more subtlety, and in the lyrics he is a little bit less pessimistic about the world, kind of finding silver linings, and I really do appreciate that. I also saw it in concert, so I may be a little biased as my rating, but I do love Jeff. I think this is one of his best albums, and I really do recommend it. It's also a really, really great gym album, so definitely go check that out. I give it a low 9 out of 10. Another album that I was really high on this year was Scarin' the Hose by Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia. Both just super wild in their delivery. Their lyrics are all over the place. The title is very fitting for the kind of production that Peggy brings to this. Again, this is another album that I think is one of the best albums of the year. Currently, it's my album of the year, and I won't go too much into it, but man, these guys just bounce off chaotic energy in the best way off of each other. And, it is a bit more of an experimental hip-hop release, so if that's something you're not into, just keep that in mind. But I will say it is relatively accessible, and the beat choices that they go for are just so crazy. Like, one of them is a Japanese, food ad that they flip into something really cool. I love it. Again, I cannot recommend this more strongly, especially for someone who wants to get a bit more out of their listening experience at the gym. Their energy is so all over the place that it really pushes you even further. So, again, really great album. My record of the year so far, probably the best in each of their catalogs, and yeah, it's great. Low 9 out of 10 for me so far. Finally, this is the last newer album I put on this list, and it was a surprising pick for me. It is the album Rustlin' in the Rain by Tyler Childers, a country artist, which I was not really expecting to enjoy as much as I did, but I really liked it. He stands out in a way for me from all these other dime a dozen country artists because he's got soul, he's got charisma, he's got personality. He has great lyricism that doesn't really follow the similar country tropes that a lot of other artists do, and just a great singing voice. I really loved it. And plus, it was relatively short. It's only 28 minutes. Now, I probably wouldn't work out to it again just because it is country, and a fair bit of the tracks on the album are slower songs, but it was a good change of pace for me and something I really needed. Plus, even on his louder songs, it doesn't sound completely like his contemporaries where they kind of mold this stadium country sound where even if you're 15 beers deep, you can still sing along. It has a bit more nuance to that. There's a bit more instrumentation, and that's something I can really get behind, especially for a modern country release. It's still pretty new in my rotation, and it's something that may vary in its ranking, but I still really like it as of this point, so I think I'm going to give it a low to mid 7 out of 10. Up next are 2 slightly older albums. The first of the 2 is the album Maxwell's Urban Hang Suite by Maxwell. Released in 1996, this album has a cool blend of many different genres, the main ones being R&B and neo-soul. It was the best way to characterize this. At some points it does kind of sound like elevator music, or kind of a blend of baby making music is really the only good way I could put it. In some ways it does remind me of a more modern version of, let's say, Luther Vandross. In terms of a listening experience, it's a bit more of a laid-back, casual listen than it is something to listen to at the gym, and so it's something I didn't really keep on for too long. However, listening to it again casually, it was a much better listening experience, so don't let that deter you. Also, in researching this album, I found that Maxwell is now doing the Maxwell's Urban Hang Cruise that's coming up pretty soon with artists like himself and Robert Glasper and many other in those neo-soul categories, so that could be interesting. So while it's not a gym album, it's still a very good listening experience, and I'd give it a mid to high 7 out of 10. Finally, an album that is not a good casual listening experience at all, only something I could truly recommend in a gym setting, Hyper Magic Mountain by the band Lightning Bolt. Released in 2005, this is a noise rock album that is just a pure wall of sound that really hits you in different waves and definitely gets that pump going when you really need that extra rep. This is one of those albums where if you listen to it at the gym, it will stop you from thinking about anything else because it demands your attention that much. It swallows the entire mix and really leaves you focusing on nothing else but whatever you're doing at that point. Now, this sound in this genre may be off-putting to new listeners, myself included, but when I got listening to it a bit more, it really just pushed my buttons in the right way. The only real way I can describe it is it gives the listener the best kind of headache, which I know isn't the most appealing thing for an album to do, but again, it really is. So if Ed Sheeran or Taylor Swift that they're leaving on in the gym speakers isn't necessarily giving you that last push that you really need, you need to shake up your sound and your listening experience, this is something that definitely you should try out at some point in your gym experience. Maybe not casually, but you know, maybe you are some psycho. Overall, pretty great. I'd give it a high 6 to a low 7 out of 10. But yeah, that's about it. If you have any recommendations for something I should listen to at the gym, please definitely put it in the comments and I might just review it.
Follow your boy for the pool work.